Welcome back, Elden Ring fans, to another video. And yes, as the title says, this is the Goblin Slayer build. So, Goblin Slayer is a very big fantasy anime that has a little bit of controversy behind it for its own reasons. If you haven't watched it, you may not understand, but be very careful if you do watch it. It can make you very squeamish on its stuff. But this is for my first 100 subs. So, happy 100 subs, everybody. I am very grateful to people who subscribe and, get to review the channel and just have fun with my builds. I'm very glad that people like them, and I do have a lot of fun making them. So, we actually have some little bit of enticing stuff in here. So, we do have my Goblin Slayer build, of course, but we actually have my Abraham Lincoln build. You guys wanted the specs on my last video with Abraham Lincoln. You guys had one of you guys had asked in the comments below for the specs for it. So, here they are, mister. I gave them to you. So, I figured I'll start doing this with my videos. I'm not going to, put it listed out in the video. I'm just going to go ahead and just, drop them randomly for every build that I've ever created. So that, yes, my Moist Critical build will be getting one. My Markiplier build, all of the builds I've ever done, I will be releasing them. But I figured it would just be fun to go ahead and give this one out because somebody had asked for it. But it'll give you some more replay value and, making PvP characters and running around and trolling people with the 16th president. I mean, the 16th Elden Lord. The 16th Elden Lord of the Lands Between. So, if you haven't watched that video, go have fun and watch it after this one. It's a lot of fun. I do have a whole bunch of other builds on the channel. If you guys don't know about that, please go watch them. They're awesome. I'm sure that you guys will find something that you guys like. So, I'm not going to slow down the video or slow down the images or the video for this segment to make this character because I don't want to cut from the main meat of the video, which is Goblin Slayer. But we are going to go ahead and talk about what I did with Goblin Slayer. So I do use the Zammer armor, but I actually, in order to do something really cool with his eye glows, his left eye glows red when he's in a critical state. When he typically rolls his dice, like how you do in D&D, he rolls his dice and gets a crit, which his eyes will glow red, and he will just be able to become beast mode and destroy goblins. So that's something I needed to implicate to this character. Well, what I did was I made his face solidly black. I'm using the Banished Knight hood, or the Banished Knight helmet, with the hood over top of it and the Zammer armor. But I made his face entirely black as I could, as deep black as I could. But I made his left eye as bright red as possible. The whites of his eye are bright red as possible. And I also decided to go ahead and put a scar over his eye, or a tattoo over his eye that was just a thin line down his left eye that glows also a bright red, so that whenever you do happen to, get a sneak peek of his face, you will see that there's a tiny bit of red glowing out of his eye and know that he is not fucking around. So we do have Flaming Strike. This is mainly a fire build, which does primarily use strength, but it's able to use actually most other weapons. I'm able to use the spear, which I will be throwing at goblins, and it's a lot of fun because he does do that in the anime, and you can't run out. All you have to do is run out of FP. But because he's not a magic user, he will be using mostly melee weapons, and he will resort to his shield, using his shield to parry enemies, using it to deflect their blows. But also, he uses the torch as a main weapon, too, because goblins are weak to fire. We do have oil pots and stuff like that. You can go out of your way and just, use whatever the heck you want to. But with the story and the skit for today, Goblin Slayer has actually been summoned by the Sword Maiden. And if you don't know who that is, please go watch the anime, but be very careful with it because there are some very sensitive subjects in that anime. I am warning you now. So, there's some very squeamish parts. Even I have trouble watching, and I typically skip those scenes because I just don't have the stomach for it, and it's gruesome. It's very gruesome. So it picks these enemies, these fantasy-type enemies that most people would just belittle. It does depict them as the monsters they're meant to be. They are meant to be monsters. They're not to be taken lightly. They are monsters. They are very dangerous creatures. They're horrible. They do terrible things. They torture people. They maim them. They kill them. They definitely torture them. They do other horrible things and acts to them that are unimaginable to me, but are very much in their realm of knowledge all the time. So he's looking for adventurers. He's looking for these, they're not low-level adventurers. These are top-tier adventurers. They were heavily armed. They had really good armor. And he is going into this cave, and, he's like, well, most people take, the solemn route and think that, oh, these are just like slimes. They're just like every other enemy, like rats and stuff in the sewer and stuff like that. Well, no. These big-time adventurers decided to go and scout out this area because they were bored. The Demon King had been destroyed, and he had been, brought to justice, and, he was killed again. And they're running out of jobs when it comes down to the Adventurers Guild. So these top-tier adventurers decided, we'll just take on a small mission. Goblin Slayer never shuts up about goblins. He's always about killing them, and I heard they're a nuisance. So they went into the nest of these goblins, like a big nest. And, well, is Goblin Slayer too late? We won't know. But he does come across those dead goblins back there. And, of course, his idea is, hey, at least there was a skirmish, and I know they might still be alive. But living goblins throughout the dungeon and throughout these caves and their burrow is not a good sign. It never is a good sign whenever there's a live goblin still alive after a skirmish. And there's a lot of blood stains. And he's looking for every type of clue he possibly can, using that torch to illuminate his I can't speak. Using the torch to illuminate his sight so that he can see through there. So he finds that they have their own island cut off from the rest of the continent. And that's ridiculous, because with that must mean that they have a community of their own here, and they do. So he decides to destroy the livestock. He's not going to let them have the community that they want to have. And then he unfortunately comes across I wouldn't say deity, but a sort of thing that they're worshiping. And that's not good, because the more that they have morale and the more that they have all this knowledge to themselves, the harder it is to fight something like that. He's like, why? Well, there has to be an outside source, influencing them, which means that they have more skills or potentially more knowledge on humans, on anything, and just are going to attack him with things that he's not used to fighting. He's only used to fighting regular goblins and sometimes the bigger stoic ogres and goblins that come out of nowhere, because that's who Goblin Slayer is. And finding this becomes very, very distressful. It's not a very good thing. So he does see the remains of somebody down below, and unfortunately, it seems that there was a tragedy down there. Some people were able to leave behind messages that told them that they were there, that they were actually there, the people were there. But goblins don't know how to read or write, so he knows that these must have been by humans. And of course, he comes across that human, and he's in shock. Goblins and humans working together is not something that he had supposed to be a thing. He had not exactly expected that, and that's not good either, because humans have a lot of knowledge. Goblins are very simple creatures and can come up with the basic stuff, things that people typically don't think about, sure, but they have a basic knowledge of things, not the knowledge that humans have. Humans are far more dangerous than goblins because they have the ability to teach. They have the ability to, create. Humans have been killing other humans for thousands of years, and they're very good at it. So this does worry him. He's not used to fighting people. So as he does get further into this dungeon, he has to end the lives of humans that are apparently inflicted by this weird poisonous substance, these traps that have caused them to go mad. And of course, in the game, it's actually Scarlet Rot. But for us here in, the Goblin Slayer world, this is actually just some sort of spell that something is able to leave behind. And he's like, well, goblins don't use magic. They're not typically able to use magic. So how are they using this? How are they able to create these creatures and, come up with this substance that poisons you on contact and creates your mind, it gives you mind madness? How is this possible? And as I said before, humans are extremely dangerous, and that you have to be careful. So the worst comes to worst, he's going to find these adventurers dead. Well, he doesn't. He actually finds out that they themselves have become mad and are praised by the goblins as these gods. And for whatever reason, whatever the trap that the goblins had come across, which also kills goblins, goblins are very stupid creatures at the same time. They're very gullible. They can, set traps and fall into them themselves, into their own traps. But as these adventurers had fallen into these traps, they too had their minds corrupted and rotted from the inside out to think that, you know, like, this is their place. They need to destroy any invader. And of course, he's forced to fight these champions, these people with high-level weapons, high-level armor, very good skills. They're super fast. They can use magic, and it explains everything. He's the reason why he's seeing all this magical use and all this tactical, you know, environmental fighting is because these humans, because of these adventurers, and that causes a bigger issue to the outburst of, you know, the area, to the lore wise of why I made Goblin Slayer and what I thought would be fun. So that's just a fake story, but it's fun. I like doing stuff like that. Like I said, I have a whole bunch of other builds. If you guys wanted to know what build this actually is, this is my strength build because it's basically the same thing as a fire build. It primarily scales with strength. And I do have a video on that on my channel. So if you guys want to go watch that, please go do it. You know, use that. I don't mind. It's a lot of fun. It's very versatile. I can use basically every weapon in the game. That doesn't require a large amount of faith or intelligence. And if you do, you can actually just wear armor sets that boost that and talismans that boost that. And you can use basically everything in the game. But when it comes down to it, you know, like, what's the damage? Ooh, well, this little fight scene that I have with this red will show you what the damage is. He's doing pretty good damage, but nowhere close to that. Nowhere close to that. Sure, Twin Blades got buffed, but they didn't. Their damage got buffed a little bit. Their speed got buffed a lot, but they've always hit that hard. So if you guys like these kind of videos, please like and subscribe. And yeah, I'll do some more, and have a great day, guys. Peace out.